Hey everybody, who's we got on here? Snuggy, hey Snuggy. Hey Dennis, Pat, CDCR, Timothy, Viper Mike. Hey John. Yes, happy Friday, happy Valentine's Day. I thought my wife would be home by now. She said she was gonna try and leave early, but we're not really doing anything today anyway. We're gonna have go out to dinner tomorrow. um, so yeah, we'll no real agenda tonight. Just gonna chat about a few things, show off a few things, let you guys know what I've been up to. One thing I was gonna do if I have time, I actually was gonna do a separate kind of video on this. I was going to swap out this stock armature with a hot stock armature and just kind of see what that gained us, you know. Is it really worth the extra money to get the balanced hot stock arm? So I don't know. Let me see. Maybe we'll do that. Indian Head Speed Boys. Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. This is a Viper, actually. Yeah, this is a Viper arm. I actually had built a gravity car, with brass weights, and this arm was sitting in there, wasting away because I never really run that gravity car. So I put a stock armature in that gravity car, and it's more than fast enough with the stock armature. I'd rather put this hot stock armature to better use in the car. I would drive more. This mat, Timothy, this little work mat here. Yeah, I just got this from Pork Chop Customs. $15. I needed a few of the Lexan body clips for my Super Sevens because I broke one, and I actually broke another one. I'm glad I ordered like 5 of them, so I have a few extra. But Pork Chop makes these Lexan body clips, so I reached out to him and ordered some of these. And at the same time, I was looking at some of his other stuff and picked up that mat. That's cool. Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. We were chatting on Facebook Messenger back and forth a little bit. Comes in handy for me because this homemade workbench that I made is not really level, so parts roll off it all the time. So it's nice to have this tray to kind of keep my parts from rolling on the floor. So before we get to that, I wanted to talk about this. I posted this on my Facebook group that I race with, the South Florida HO Racers Association. But you guys know Steve Petrush, who makes he makes these aluminum wheels that we all like. Well, Steve's a good guy. He's been great to me because I get packages to my door that I'm not even expecting. He'll like watch my videos and my shows, and if he sees me struggling with something, he literally makes a tool for me. So he's that kind of guy. One day I was complaining about not being able to hold the armature and ohm it out, and this showed up at my door. So you could stick your armature in there and it holds it, and you could use your ohm meter to measure it. The last one of my videos I was talking about how sometimes I can't get the retainer as far in. Sometimes you go level and it's enough and it's snug, and sometimes you got to recess it a little bit, like so the axle is actually sticking just slightly past the retainer. Well, he made this tool for me, and that's what this does. It fits right in the opening of the hub, and the hole is big enough to the axle to go in, and it pushes that retainer in. I've already used it on several cars and it works great. So thanks, Stephen, for that. So if anybody is interested, I know this is a specialized tool, and if you're not into independent front ends with these type of retainers, you don't have a need for it. But I mean, he said he can make these for pretty cheap. I asked him how much he wanted for it, and he told me a price which I thought was lower than it should be, so I'm not going to say. But you could reach out to Steven if you're interested in one of these, and he'll make it for you. I know a number of the guys from my club asked me for his information. Yeah, he does, Snuggy. He really does. What else? So, uh-oh. I just dropped something. Fortunately, it wasn't my beer. You guys might have remembered I did a video on this end bell tweaking tool from J Products, John. And if you remember, I was trying to tweak a Viper V4 end bell. Or did I say armature? I meant end bell. And it really didn't do much. So he asked me to send it back to him because he was surprised by that. And sure enough, he had the same effect with that particular end bell. So there's something with the new V4 end bell that this tool doesn't really tweak it that much. But what he did is he actually removed this limiter on the max side. So now I could turn this as far as I want. See if I do the moderate side, it'll stop. There used to be one of these on the maximum side. I don't know if he's going to do that for all of them or if he sells it with the two stoppers. But it was nice, and he gave me a whole new end cap. I think he said it had better or different pins in there, because I think the other one was blue. I like this red color better. And he tweaked the V4 end bell that I sent him. And it's definitely, I don't know if I can get this thing to focus or not. It's definitely got some advanced timing now where you can see the brushes don't sit right on top of each other. They're a little bit side by side. So it's definitely tweaked. This tool does not tweak for tension. It only tweaks for the like the timing of the end bell. So I'll have to play around with that a little bit more and see how it goes with trying to kind of tweak these end bells, the Viper end bells. That's that. Now, speaking of a tool to hold your armature, John from J Products he sent this to me for my troubles as far as my end belt tweaking tool not really working right and me shipping it to him. So he sent me his tool that he makes to hold both pancake motor and inline armature. And what I like about this one is if you have a pinion gear on it, it still holds it. Put that in there. You basically look for the line between the plates sticking up, and then you could put this down and you could measure with your own meter. You can go in and measure either side and then turn it, measure the next two and turn it, and so on. So neat little gadget. And I did ohm out this hot stock armature. It's exactly 5.8 ohms, so it is a 5.8 ohm hot stock on all three stacks. So I think my wife just got home. I heard a car in the driveway. Go say hello to her real quick. So that's that product. And you can see all the stuff that John makes, J Products makes, on his Facebook page. I know a number of you guys have gotten stuff from him, but how do you know when you have too much timing? Well, you won't know unless you put it in and the car runs worse. I know how my cars, like a Viper 6 ohm hot stock car, if I can get it on my dyno anywhere in the 4s, above 4, I'm usually pretty happy. That's a pretty good running car. If I get it in the 420s, 430s, even better. Like most of my Fusions, without even tweaking, because the Fusion end bells already come with advanced timing on the brushes, so they're already tweaked. This car, this has the hood system. This car is a beast. This thing runs like 480. This thing's almost hitting a 5, and it's a 6 ohm hot stock on. This thing's close to 450 actually. This is an end bell Fusion. So my Fusions tend to run a little bit faster than my Vipers. They're more in the mid, like 340. They're almost all in the 330, 340 range, where my Vipers are in the lower 400s. 430, 440 range. But here, check this out. Look at this car. This is another thing I wanted to talk about were these Fusions. So this is my hood system car. I don't know if you guys could see that display. Four 480, 484, 487, 488. Thing is a beast. Now it is running 722 gear, so it's got a little bit lower gearing. But look at that. That thing's rock steady too. The 22 tooth gear helps this get a little more top end. My spec race, that was a ceramic super stock car. This is one of my spec racers. This has 723, so this is a 23 tooth crown gear. But this thing's no slouch either. It's up around the 450 range. That's an end bell car. I wanted to talk a little bit about these fusions and my last club race where I did pretty well I made the podium in the IROC race. I actually came in second, and I was only a couple of laps of taking third in box stock. But I was disappointed in how I didn't do well in the fusion race, both the super stock and the spec racer. And over the last few races, my performance with these cars has dropped. And I figured out, I think I figured out why. I made my cars lower, and I actually made them too low. I was actually talking with one of our top racers, and he's like, yeah, I run most of my fusions at 420, so hence you see the 420 on both these cars. If you go too low with the car, it can also have a negative impact. You think you're getting more track, like more downforce, it's going to stick to the rails, but if it's too low, it could actually cause the car to pop out of the slot in spots and cause D-slots. Plus, it slows the car down. I had 416s in this super stock car, and it wasn't doing those numbers on the dyno with 416, and you could hear it dragging on the rails. I switched both of these to 420, and they are smooth. They fly around my track. I was just testing these before I came on this stream, and I think I did a 2.4, low 2.4s with this super stock car, and I was in the low 2.5s with this car, and I was tuning them for height. You can see I'm trying to get these cars as level as possible. That's why I put this Sharpie, this silver Sharpie on the traction magnets, so you can kind of see this car is rubbing in the front, so more so on this side than this side. So I still have some tweaking to do on this car. I don't want it to rub in that one spot right there. I probably need to go up one size on just this tire to bring that side up. It's a little bit rubbing here, but not as much as this side. And on my spec racer, it's kind of a similar situation. I must have a little bit higher rail on this side because I got the same wear on the front of this magnet. But this whole side is dragging a little more than this side is. So, and if you have a setup block, like I have a .012 and 0.14, I can kind of look and see if the rails are, kind of see that's a 0.12. There's a little bit of clearance. Hello.
Already?
I did. I'm on with the guy doing a live stream. But it's okay. No, I'll be right back, guys. I thought you were trying to get home earlier. I tried to wait. Okay, that won't be too long. Sorry guys, just had to say a quick hello to the little woman. .420, Snuggy, you're asking me 420? No, not picking up dust. Just too low. It's when you bring the car too low, it actually can have a negative effect on the performance of the car. So 420 is the size of the rear tire, .420, and these are, for the most part, I run 320s in the front, but these could be 322s or 318. I gotta look. I gotta play around with these front tires on these cars. Well, 420 is not low for a fusion, though. A fusion on a routed track, 420 is pretty common, actually. Guys will go all the way down to 414, 416. I was running 416s, silly sponge tires on this car, which was just a little too low. It was really, I could hear it dragging the rails pretty hard, you know. You'll have to try what, Snuggy? 420s? No, you're not going to want to run 420s on an AFX type track. I don't run 420s on my Vipers, even on my routed track. That's just too low for a a Viper car. My Vipers, I usually go 430 in the rear and 340 in the front. But I have some Vipers that are a little bit lower, like 424. My modified Viper's 424. But yeah, so it's all what works for you. It's all about experimenting and learning. But I was thinking about when I was running these cars before I brought them lower. I had them in like the 420 range, and I thought, oh, I need to go lower. So the last few races, I was getting frustrated because I was doing worse, and it didn't dawn on me that it was because I made the car lower. I was actually doing probably 10 more laps a race when I had the cars sitting a little bit higher. So, yeah, so it's all about experimenting and learning and trying to get better. So, what else? What else did I want to talk about? Let me put some of this stuff out of the way here. Make some room. Oh, and one last thing on these Fusions, and this is for Joe from Blue Oval Racing. You guys know, I don't know if you guys know Joe or if you watch his content. I just started. He's he's good at. He's pretty funny. But apparently he's gotten some inspiration from watching my videos, and he actually went out and bought himself a Fusion because I said how good of a chassis it was, and I didn't intend for home racers with an AFX track to run out and buy Fusions because he actually bought a super stock kit with the silly sponge. It probably came with 420 in the rear and 320, pretty much similar to this, which is he discovered is definitely too low. So I appreciate that Joe got inspiration from my videos, and he's been buying up stuff, and he's been saying it's because of watching my videos. So I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, that people are buying stuff, but I'm not intending for anybody to go buy anything. But yeah, so I wouldn't rush out and get Fusions to run. I wouldn't run these on an AFX track. They're really not made for that. I don't even race them that much here when the guys come over. We don't really race these I run mostly with my club. But how do the Vipers compete against Wizard Storms? I think they're superior to Wizard Storm. Vipers compete against these cars. There are guys that race Vipers in Spec Racer and Super Stock class, and they do pretty well. I would put the Viper a step above a Storm. Though I'm not an expert on the Storm. I only have one, and I don't do much with it. It's completely stock, so yeah. Nobody seems to race the Storms, at least in my club. I think they were more popular a number of years ago, maybe before these Fusions came out. I don't know. You guys got to keep in mind, I'm relatively new to this hobby as far as at the club level. I've only been doing it for a little over a year as far as club racing. So, yeah, other guys may know more. I don't claim, even though you guys seem to be labeling me as an expert. I don't claim to be. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from people, other people's videos, and talking with builders, and yeah, that's how you learn and grow, right? Everybody is that way. I think if you have a little bit of mechanical ability, you could work on these cars and learn how to tweak them and make them run better if that's what you like to do. So, but like, I didn't know about putting marker on the magnets to see somebody gave me that tip, one of the racers. I'm like, why are you putting magic marker on your magnets? And so you can clearly see where this is rubbing right here. So it's a little low in the front. So it gives me something to tweak and work on. Oh, and another thing for Joe from Blue Oval, he was asking me about he was talking about the different classes of cars, because I guess he got a car from Musgrave, from Willie, that was built to Southern California HO rules, I guess, and he was calling it a super stock car. Well, in Hopper class, super stock has to have ceramic magnets. His car did not have. His car had ceramic polymer magnets. So these are polymer magnets in the Spec Racer. These are true ceramic magnets in the super stock class, and they're expensive. These ceramic magnets are both over $20 a pair. So I've got $40 worth of magnets in this car. Whereas these are half the cost for the polymer grade, and the polymer grade magnets are actually stronger. That's why we're allowed to run these silly sponge tires with the weaker ceramic magnets. It's the same hot stock armature. These cars are both very fast. I mean, performance-wise, they're very close. I'd say maybe the super stock performs a little bit better because of these tires. What else was I going to say? The Spec Racer class car has to be 723. That's a requirement for the Hopper rules. 23 tooth crown gear, 7 tooth pinion gear. You have to have that gearing on Spec Racer. On Super Stock, the crown gear, you could put pretty much whatever you want. I have a 22 tooth gear in there. Some guys go down to 21. You can't use silly sponge tires on Spec Racer. They have to be silicone slip-on tires. So those are the differences, Joe, in the classes between Spec Racer and Super Stock for the Hopper rules. So, all right, enough about the Fusions. So I've been having fun since the last race, kind of tweaking. I really want to do better at my next race with these Fusions. I want to get back to where I was. I feel like I've taken several steps back in the last few races. So, yeah, Hot Wheels, those ceramic magnets. Even for a Viper, if you were to build a Viper super stock, the if you go on Viper's site and look at the ceramic magnets, they're 20 something bucks a pair. I don't know. I guess they're more expensive to make. Oh, hey, Rob. Hey, I'm glad to hear that car. Yeah, that car did run well. It really did. What was I going to say? Oh, you know, I have this dyno, and I like to use the dyno to give me an idea on how the car runs, but it's not the end all say all on how the car performs. This Viper, which is a hot stock armature car, it only runs in like the 360, 370 range. But yet, this car flies around. This car was not that much further behind my Fusions. I was doing like low 2.6 second laps with this car. So it was right there with the Fusions. So, I try not to. I use the dyno as a gauge when I'm working on cars. If I have a certain number when I start working on the car, and then I work on it and the number goes down. Well, that's not a good thing. I made the car worse. So trying to make the car go better or faster on the dyno. Like for example, this car, this was a car I was going to sell. I had built a aluminum rear end for it, and I upgraded to aluminum front end on this car. And it's a stock motor. I didn't touch the motor in this car. It's a stock 6 ohm V-spec. But the car wasn't running very good on the dyno. It's in like the 330 range. And that's a little slower than it should be for a stock Viper. They're usually in the 370-ish range. Then I started thinking, maybe it's this rear end that I built. And sure enough, if I put a stock Viper, and these are both 438 tires, these white albinos are 438, and these are actually 438s as well. Right up in the 360 range, 370 range. So I started looking at this rear axle that I built, because obviously I did something wrong because it's slowing the car down. And it's just a little bit too tight, actually. I mean, there's a little bit of play back and forth, but not enough. And interestingly, I built this right from a stock axle. Same spacers that come from Viper. So it just goes to show you, every chassis is a little bit different. The dimensions, the way it sits, who knows? But obviously this spacer is a little too much, so I'm going to have to take this hub off and respace this rear axle so it's not slowing the car down. And it would be even worse when when the car is running and the car flexes, it's gonna bind even more. So I thought that was interesting. It's those little things that you see that you're like, oh yeah, what's going on with that rear axle? Did you see Dan built those 3V1s today? Short Dan who? Dan from Slot Valley Racing? You mean Vipers? Oh, Dan sorry, Dan Cronin from Viper. I saw that he had a video. That I didn't get to see it. No, not yet. Sorry, I'm looking back at these comments. I'm way behind. Trying to catch up. Yeah, these dynos are a little bit, well, they are overpriced. We all know that. I got to do a better job of looking at your guys' comments. Nah, they're not 300 to 400 for a dyno. You can get this one for in the $200 and something range. But so yeah, so back to Blue Oval. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do and check out his videos. He'll make you laugh. He makes me laugh. I like his finger, and he's like his finger's pointing to me, and I think he's pretty funny. And he's learning and he's doing, so that's cool, you know. All right, so enough about the fusions. What else? Sorry if I'm a little all over the place in this live stream here, but I really didn't have any agenda other than just talking about some tools I got and what I've been playing around with, and yeah. Yeah, that's my air conditioner. It just went off. Is it quieter now? Yeah, that's, you got to do it. You got to, you're not going to learn if you're afraid to, it depends what you want to do in the hobby though. Taking these cars apart and building them are not for everybody. Some people look at that like they're petrified to take a car apart. They don't think they would ever put it back together and that it would ever run. But I, you know, I've been doing it enough where I could build these Vipers in my sleep. It takes me about not even 5 minutes to build a Viper. I did, Snuggy. I saw your right, Keith. Those fingers. I feel like that finger's talking right to me, but in a good way. It's like I don't know. He's giving me the finger, but in a friendly way. I was hoping Joe would be on this watching here, but. Snuggy, I saw your review of the amp I've seen that amp chassis. I mean, it looks decent. I don't know. Um, how do you think it compared to like a extraction car? I would assume it runs better than an extraction. Very shabby electric work. What does that mean? You mean like the circuit board, or they could do a lot better job on it? Nowhere near a Mega G plus type. You mean as far as the performance of the car? You guys are having trouble hearing me? I'm using my phone. I'm not really sure what I could do to improve the audio. I think when my air conditioner goes on behind me, you guys probably have a hard time hearing me. But see, that's interesting. That Hot Wheels, you think a Mega G is fast, which it is. It's a fast car, but it's actually one of the slower cars that I race. So it just goes to show you the range of cars. Although I bet you guys saw lately when I've been racing here with the guys, I've been having fun with the like the Whiz Jets and the OS3 cars. Sometimes I like to slow it down, actually see what I'm driving. But, yeah, exactly, Keith. There's a place for them though, and depends on your budget and what you're looking to do. Yeah, my AC just went back on, so is it harder to hear me now? I do have a noise canceling headphone I used to use, but it cuts out all the noise. If I use that noise canceling headphone, then you can't hear the dyno and you really can't hear anything. So I stopped using it. Mike, maybe like refresh your browser. I don't know. I think some people are saying my audio is okay. Well, Viper is a whole different class car. I mean, what, you could probably buy at least two of those amp cars compared to one Viper. So, for some people that makes a difference. They'd rather have two cars than one. But once you start racing this type of car, it's hard to go back to the auto worlds of the world. Um, I don't know. Do you guys want me to swap out this armature for this hot stock armature and see what kind of a gain we get, if any? Does that sound like something you guys would like to do or see me do? You guys tell me. I could do this anytime. I could swap that armature, but all right, we'll do that. This white mark is getting worn off this magnet. Yeah, so you gave it a try. I don't run, Auto World cars don't really have any place in my what I do with slot cars, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them if that's what you like to run, or that's what you're used to and that's all you know and you have fun with it, then there's nothing wrong with that. Some people don't want to spend 50, 60, $100, you know. This almost every one of my souped up cars like this are worth over, there's over $100 of parts in that car. So some people don't want to spend that. All right. But once you get the bug and you start going with the performance stuff, then it's hard to go back. There is no going back. Get my little board here. And we don't need this. I could put my little tool off to the side. I'm going to use this rear end for testing because we know there. Maybe I'll rework that rear end too while we're at it. Yeah, the Jag chassis are good. I have a couple of those. I would just rather spend a little more and get like I don't know, a Bulldog or a Super 7. I like the Super 7. That's a really smooth running. I think it's pretty decently priced. So I did, a couple of people mentioned, you don't need to take the spring and pickup shoes off on the Viper when you take the motor out, which you don't. And I've been kind of skipping that step. But you do got to be careful if you leave the pickup shoes on and the springs in there, the hanger does push forward more, so it makes it a little bit more tricky to get the motor back in. You gotta just make sure you can see how that's. I don't know why this thing's not focusing. Cheap phone. Cheap $1,000 phone. There it goes. Yeah. Can't See how far that goes forward. But anyway, so. So the Viper armature comes with two Teflon spacers. I can get that to focus either. But it's got like a 10 thousandths and a smaller 5,000. I think it has like 15 thousandths worth of spacers on it. And it has a standard bushing, the V-spec. So this armature I kind of set up similar, though I have a 10 thousandths Teflon and a 5 thousandths metal spacer on the top of the armature. I don't know why my phone is really, there it goes. I don't have any spacers on the back here right now, just the same bushing, stock Viper pinion gear. What is with G with the refix of the Super 3? I'm sure what you're asking, Indian. Yeah, the Super 7 from Hardin Creek's a very good chassis, right out of the package, ready to go. Uh-oh. Don't buy something because I'm not telling anybody to buy anything. So let's see how this fits in there as is. I have had a couple of beers tonight, so hopefully it doesn't affect my chassis building skills. Nah, I've only had two. I'm halfway through a second, so I'm okay for now. I am a lightweight though, so. But my hands aren't shaking. I'm not a big drinker. All right. So again, you want to make sure your bushing is sitting in place properly. I don't know what's going on, why my phone does not want to focus. Is it this yellow color? No, I don't know. There we go. Anyway, you guys know the drill. You've seen me do this many, many times. Just make sure you don't shave off your tabs on your end bell. Make sure they clear those hangers before you push the end bell down. Make sure it clears those tabs. This looks pretty good. Looks like it's clear. So we'll just pop that in. And it's pretty good spacing even without any spacers in the back. So this particular armature really didn't need any. It's got about 5,000 space in I could maybe do a little bit less spacing on the top. Looks like it's pushed. I'll have to see how the car runs and how the brush marks look on the com. I try to get them to sit right in the middle. So you definitely want, Frank, at least one Teflon. You don't want to put metal right over the. You could short out the. Yeah, get this thing to focus. You can short out the. If you put a metal spacer right on top of the commutator plates there, you can actually short them out. So you'll want to at least put one. You can see the two spacers that Viper uses. One, this one's like a 10,000ths, and this one's a little bit smaller. I think that's like a 5,000ths. So you always want to put at least one Teflon one first, and then you can put a metal one. I like having the metal against the metal of the bushing. You know, the metal spacer won't wear out as like a Teflon one will. I'm sure these last quite a long time though. But you can see that's on this stock armature. That's pretty good spacing Viper has. I mean, that's kind of right in the middle. You can see those marks from the brushes. You can see that this brush is not broken in yet fully by those two marks on the. Usually you want a solid mark from the brush. So it was a new car, so those brushes are not fully broken in yet. Just kind of the edges are touching of the brushes. So once this breaks in more, it'll probably run even better. Terry says hi and we'll send you. Thanks, Keith. Tell Terry I said hi and had a great time at his track. Anyway, let's finish putting this car back together here. I usually always go high downforce, so make sure the face of the magnet that touches the rail sticks to the motor magnet and put it in on that side. Most guys usually running high downforce, but you know, there might be some reasons that you want a less downforce. All right. Now, I didn't do anything to this end bell. This was stock Viper. Actually, I didn't even look at it. I forgot. So, might have to tweak it. We'll have to see how it runs. I usually just tweak it for tension. Yeah. Feels pretty smooth. Good gear mesh. What did we run? What did we run with the stock armature? I think this was hitting like a 3.6 something, 365. I think we were around. Let's see what this hot stock armature does. Yeah, so see, this is running worse than the stock armature was right now. So We need some tweaking. Update, EPT took a shower. Okay, I don't think I really needed to know that. But thanks. Let's see if we advance the timing a little bit. That didn't really help me. All right. Let's see how the top of the armature is spaced. Take a look at the end bell. Actually, those brush marks look pretty good. They're right in the center of the comb. Can't really complain about that. I think these brushes just need to break in. Trying to get this thing to focus so you can kind of see those two lines. So only the edges of the brushes are really touching the commutator. I've been trying to get that break-in tool that Scale Engineering sells, but it's always sold out. They make a little, it's almost like a round, abrasive, almost looks almost like a round, like a rat tail file, but it's the same size as a commutator. So you put that in, and it's actually long enough to build the whole car, with your, you can put a gear on it, a pinion gear on it, and make sure everything's nice and level, and you could spin the wheel to turn that tool, and it'll break in the brushes nicely for you. This is not an app. This is a Pixel, a Google Pixel 9. Pixel phones have pretty good cameras, at least for still photos. I don't know about their video. I don't think they're known as well for their video quality as they are their still photos, but sorry guys, I'm just trying to tweak this end bell a little bit. I'm just tweaking tweaking it at the point here and here, just to put a little more pressure. So there's a little more force on the brushes. Hey, Josh. Oh, I didn't show you guys one thing that I did on my workbench. I don't know why Josh reminded me, but I put all my stickers from all my buddies and people I've been dealing with. I had all these in a pile, and I was like, I got to do something with these stickers. So I got MX69, Josh's sticker, Pork Chop, Rooster Racing, Rich's Slot Car Room, the Mayor, Gale Force Raceway, Scott's House at HO, Southern Slot, myself. I think I put Adam's sticker. I started putting them on the side of my parts bin, and then I realized I'm gonna not have enough room. So Adam's sticker ended up over there. I think I only had one sticker from Adam. I'll have to see. I gotta get more Viper and Hardin Creek stickers. I'll add those too. A little bling on the workbench. So when I'm working, I look up and I see everybody, all these great people that I met through this hobby that I have a good time with, chatting with. Lock, focus, and exposure. Okay, I'll check on that. I don't know if I could do that during the live stream. I don't want to mess it up. That was an Apple. Oh, okay. The 406 Speedway sticker sure looks good. It does. It sure does. That's funny. All right. I don't know. I'm going to put this car back together, and I'm going to probably let these brushes break in a little bit. So let's do this real quick. It really is amazing how when you tweak and get the end bell right, it really does make a big difference in how the car runs. So it's worth taking some time to do it. I'm not really that great at it, but I'm getting better. One of the reasons I like my Fusions is those end bells are they're already tweaked, and it's not much. Sometimes I tweak them a little bit for tension, but I build a Fusion and it always runs almost the same every time. It's always right up in the 430s on the dyno and super fast, and I don't have to do much to it as far as, you space the motor right and you're good to go. I spend more time tweaking the height of my Fusions than I do like the motor or the end bell. These Vipers, though, I don't know. They give me a challenge sometimes. I mean, they're easy enough for me to build, but they don't always run as fast as I would think they should, on the dyno anyway. And again, like I said, the dyno is not everything. You put the car on the track, it's still fast as hell, so, But it's the principle of it. You want it You want to see those numbers that you're expecting to see on the dyno, or you feel like you didn't do the best you could do. There's a little bit of, I mean, I could probably, nah, I'd have to put maybe a 3,000 space. I like to leave a little bit of play. In the armature. Thanks, Hot Wheels. Hey, Jim. Thanks, Keith. Jim, I was showing off that I put all my stickers on my workbench, and I had your sticker right here where this pork chop custom is, but your sticker, I have to tell you, the next morning it was peeled up. It didn't stick good, and unfortunately I had to just kind of trash it. So I'll have to say, whatever sticker you chose, it didn't have very good adhesive. So just an FYI. But I appreciate the sticker. I don't want you to think I left you out. You were on the board there. Everybody that sent me a sticker, I put up there, but. All right. I'm just going to put this car together, and I don't think it's going to be much better, to be honest with you, but we'll see. Yeah, I made some improvement. It's up in the 360s, pretty close to how it was with the stock armature. My point is, the hot stock armature didn't make a huge difference over the stock armature. It's got the same number on the dyno. The car does seem more stable with the balanced armature. There isn't any kind of shake or vibration. So you do gain that with the balanced armature. But it's a 6 ohm arm, so you're not gonna, just because it's a hot stock armature, don't expect it to be blazing fast compared to a stock Viper armature. There's nothing wrong with the stock Viper armature. I have some stock Vipers that run my V-Specs that out of the package, they hit over 4 on the dyno with this same armature. So I'm gonna let this car break in for a while, probably like 30 minutes or so at a low setting on my dyno. See if I can get a little bit of an improvement that way. And I'm gonna leave this armature in this car. Oh, and I gotta rework this. This rear end is too tight, so I gotta pull that. I gotta see if I gotta use the puller that Steve sent me, because these aluminum hubs are a little bit harder to get off than the. I'm not gonna do that right now, but. Is it getting 2/3 of an amp? Let me see. On the supply that I'm running, it's pulling 0.3 amps. Point 0.3 amps. Yeah, my Fusion's pulling 0.45 amps, pulling more current. That's good to know. I didn't think to look at the current draw, but that does tell you. So this Viper that's running in the fours is also pulling .4, close to half an amp. That's a good gauge. That's a good tip. That's a good gauge. I can look at the current that it's drawing. If I'm down below .4, it's probably not running where it needs to be. Yeah, the pancakes will pull less current than an inline motor, but it also depends on the ohm of the armature. So most of my 6 ohm cars, when I'm driving them around the track, and now it all depends on how fast you're going, obviously. But on the dyno here, which is a steady voltage, I have my dyno set to 18.5 volts at the contacts where the pickup shoes touch. They usually don't draw more than half an amp, my Vipers. And that's, they draw anywhere from 0.3 up to 0.5. This car that I just built is pulling 0.3. My other cars are closer to half an amp, so the ones that are running stronger. So. And if I put like a 2 ohm car on there, because it's lower the resistance, the more current it's going to draw. Actually, I'll put a 2 ohm car on my dyno. See how much current this thing draws. Yeah, it's drawing 0.65 amps. So. This car is pretty fast. This thing's almost hitting a 6. This has a NSX. I got this from Terry from Hardin Creek. This is a 2.4 ohm NSX turbo armature. This armature's crazy. Yeah, this is a Viper, but this is a level 10 car. So these are level 10. This is a car I race in the modified class, Hopra modified. It's a level 10 motor magnets, level 10 traction magnets, 2.4 ohm balanced armature. But this is like a $35 armature. It's not cheap. Yeah, this car's... These cars are too fast for me. My club just started running these cars, and I have a hard time keeping track of it. I have a hard time keeping track of the 6 ohm cars, let alone a 2.4 ohm car. The orange gear is a RPM hard. It's their tough gear. I use that on some of my, well, even my Fusions. I put the. It's not quite as smooth a gear mesh with the tough gear, but it's the teeth are much more durable. So. But this is this is a very smooth gear mesh, even with that gear. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same, Snuggie. I'm gonna go spend some time with the wife, and I'll be around. Actually, my daughter is having some friends over in a little bit, and one of the girls raced here before, and she asked if we could race. So I might actually go live a little later. It might be ladies' night, Valentine's ladies' night racing at the track here. So I might do a spontaneous live in an hour or so. It'd be later. It might be closer to even closer to 10 o'clock. We'll see if I'm still up. I don't know. They're supposedly baking cookies and doing some stuff, and I don't know. You know what 20-something-year-old girls do on Valentine's Day when they don't have boyfriends. Will do. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me, and enjoy your weekend coming up. I'm going to be racing with the guys here on Sunday, so I'll be live Sunday my usual time, probably 10:30, 11, and we might pop back on after lunch as well. So I know that's a little bit early for some of you guys, especially you West Coasters, but yeah, everybody have a happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy the rest of your night, and have a great weekend. If I don't chat with you Sunday, and I'll be on probably tomorrow with when Scott's on. So chat with you guys then. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Take care.